You know the manifesting state is becoming real when you stop checking who noticed. You stop changing just to get a reaction. You stop becoming calmer just so someone admits you changed. You stop improving your life just to prove a point to the people who misunderstood you. And the strange part is this. At first, that can feel quiet because the old version of you was used to needing an audience, a reaction, a compliment, a sign that someone finally saw your worth. But when the state begins to stabilize, something changes. You still move differently. You still carry yourself differently. You still make different choices. But now, you are not doing it for them anymore. You are doing it because this is who you are now. That is one of the clearest signs that the manifesting state is moving from an idea into your actual behavior. Because a lot of people do not realize how much of their growth is still tied to being seen. They say they are changing for themselves, but underneath the surface, they are still waiting for someone to notice. They dress differently and wonder who looked. They speak with more confidence and immediately scan the room. They set a boundary and wait to see if the other person finally respects them. They stop chasing and quietly wonder if the person can feel the absence. They work on their life, but a part of them still wants the old story to watch. That does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means an old identity is still looking for confirmation. And this is where many people accidentally leave the state. They begin an identity, but then they shift into performance. Identity says, this is who I am now. Performance says, can they tell? Identity says, this is how I move now. Performance says, did they react? Identity says, this is normal for me. Performance says, do they finally see my value? And the moment your attention becomes centered on their reaction, the old state starts pulling you back. Not because the manifestation failed, not because the shift disappeared, but because you temporarily gave your authority back to the outside world. Let me make this practical. Imagine you have started respecting your own time more. Before you would say yes too quickly. You would rearrange your day to avoid disappointing someone. You would explain yourself too much just to prove you were not being selfish. But now something in you is different. You say, I can't do that today. You say it calmly. You do not give a long story. You do not apologize 5 times. You do not make yourself smaller so the other person feels comfortable. At first, that feels powerful. Then the other person responds normally. No praise, no deep understanding, no sudden apology, no dramatic moment where they say, wow, you have really changed. And that is where the old identity whispers, maybe I did something wrong. But notice what is really happening. You are not uncomfortable because you made the wrong choice. You are uncomfortable because the new identity did not get immediate validation. This is the moment where the state must become real without applause. Because if you only stay in the new identity when people reward it, the state is still dependent on their reaction. But when you stay steady, even when they respond the same way, something deeper is happening. You are no longer becoming this version of yourself to convince them. You are becoming this version of yourself because it is true for you. Here is another example. Maybe you are building something, a channel, a business, a healthier routine, a new skill, a better life. At first, you might imagine who will be impressed, who will regret doubting you, who will finally respect you, who will realize they underestimated you. That kind of fuel can get you started, but it cannot stabilize the manifesting state because proving is still attachment. Proving still keeps your identity connected to the people who did not see you clearly. The new state is different. You still build, you still create, you still show up, but now your reason is cleaner. You are not posting to make someone jealous. You are not improving to punish the old story. You are not becoming disciplined so somebody finally gives you credit. You are moving this way because this version of you makes sense now. That is a major shift because when your identity becomes stable, your actions stop needing witnesses. You go to the gym without needing anyone to comment on your body. You dress well without needing someone to stare. You work on your craft without needing immediate praise. You speak clearly without needing everyone to agree. You rest without feeling like you must prove you deserve rest. You make the decision that supports your future, even if nobody around you understands it yet. That is what the manifesting state looks like in real life. It is not always mystical. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just you doing the right thing without needing someone else to confirm that it was the right thing. Sometimes it is you staying calm in a room where the old version of you would have performed. Sometimes it is you not turning your growth into an announcement. Sometimes it is you realizing, I do not need them to recognize the shift before I live from it. That is stability. And this does not mean you stop wanting love, respect, support, or recognition. You are human. It is normal to want to be seen. It is normal to want people to notice your growth. It is normal to want your effort to matter to someone. But there is a difference between receiving recognition and needing recognition to stay in the state. Receiving says, that feels good. Thank you. Needing says, if they do not react, maybe I am not really changing. That second one is where the old identity hides. So here's the reset. The next time you catch yourself performing for a reaction, pause and ask, what am I trying to get them to prove? Am I trying to get them to prove that I am valuable? Am I trying to get them to prove that I am chosen? Am I trying to get them to prove that I changed? Am I trying to get them to prove that I am finally enough? Do not judge the answer. Just notice it. Because once you notice what you are trying to get from their reaction, you can return your authority back to the state. Then ask, what would I do if my identity was already stable? Would I still post this? Would I still say this? Would I still wear this? Would I still create this? Would I still set this boundary? Would I still choose this direction? If the answer is yes, then continue. But continue cleanly, without performing, without checking, without needing the old story to witness the new one. And if the answer is no, then be honest. Maybe you were not acting from the state. Maybe you were acting from a wound that still wanted attention. That awareness is not failure. That awareness is the correction. Because the manifesting state becomes stronger when you stop outsourcing your identity. You stop asking the room to confirm who you are. You stop waiting for someone's tone to tell you whether you are powerful. You stop measuring your progress by how fast other people adjust. Instead, you become the evidence. Your choices become evidence. Your boundaries become evidence. Your consistency becomes evidence. Your peace becomes evidence. Your ability to not collapse when someone does not react becomes evidence. That is why this shift matters. Because when you are no longer doing it for them, your energy becomes less scattered. Your actions become more honest. Your decisions become cleaner. Your nervous system begins to learn that it does not need applause to feel safe in the new identity. And then something interesting happens. People may still notice. People may still respond differently. People may still come closer. People may still respect the change. But now their reaction is no longer the foundation. It becomes extra. It becomes confirmation, not permission. That is a completely different state. Because the old version of you wanted people to notice so you could feel real. The new version of you becomes real first. Then the world adjusts. So if you are in a season where you are changing quietly, and part of you still wants someone to notice, do not shame that part of yourself. Just recognize it. That part of you learned to survive through approval. That part of you learned to feel safe through response. That part of you learned to measure worth through how others reacted. But now you are practicing something different. You are learning to move from identity before the reaction comes. You are learning to stay steady before the room confirms the shift. You are learning to live as the version of yourself who no longer needs every change to be witnessed. That is how the state becomes embodied. Not by forcing confidence, not by pretending you do not care, not by becoming cold, but by remembering, I am not doing this to get a reaction. I am doing this because this is who I am now. So let them notice or not notice. Let them understand or not understand. Let them react today, later, or never. Your job is not to perform the state. Your job is to live from it. You are not doing it for them anymore. You are doing it because the manifesting state is becoming real in you. Subscribe and enter your manifesting state.